Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are unpacking a topic that, quite frankly, stopped me in my tracks when I started looking at the raw numbers. We're talking about endometriosis.
It's a heavy topic and a very common one.
It is staggering. We're looking at a condition that affects approximately 10% of women of reproductive age.
10%. That's a massive slice of the population.
It is. But usually when you read about endometriosis, the headline is almost exclusively about pain. It's about managing the agony.
Right. And that is valid, obviously. The pain is real, it's debilitating, and it disrupts lives. But today, based on the research we have, we're pivoting to a different, equally critical aspect. Fertility.
Exactly. We're exploring this concept of the hostile environment. That phrase really stuck with me from the reading. It's not just that endometriosis causes pain. It's that this tissue, which is similar to the uterine lining but growing outside the uterus, is actively sabotaging the biology of conception.
That's the core issue here. It's about fecundity, which is a term we'll use a bit today. It basically means the potential for reproduction.
Right.
Endometriosis distorts anatomy. Sure, it can block tubes with scar tissue, but it also creates this chronic inflammation that alters the chemical environment. It essentially puts up a biological do not enter sign for pregnancy.
But, and this is why I'm so excited about today's deep dive, we aren't just here to admire the problem. We have a specific toolkit to discuss.
Yes, we do.
We're pulling from a fascinating paper, Nutritional Strategies for Endometriosis and Fertility Enhancement, and also the clinical work of the Berkeley Center for Reproductive Wellness.
Right. And the mission here is specific. We're not just looking for general health tips like, eat more kale.
Yeah.
We're looking for specific compounds that actively improve that fecundity we mentioned.
We're looking for biological hacks found in nature that can change the terrain.
I love that phrase. And looking at the source material, it seems like we have three main pillars to work with.
Yeah, it looks like fighting inflammation, managing oxidative stress, and balancing hormones.
That's the triad. If you can address those three things, you can fundamentally change the ecosystem of the body. You're trying to turn that hostile environment back into a welcoming one.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with that first pillar, inflammation. The sources point to two absolute powerhouses here. The first one is something we hear about a lot, but maybe not in this specific context, omega-3 fatty acids.
Right. Most people think of heart health or brain health when they hear omega-3s. But in the context of endometriosis, you have to think of EPA and DHA, the active components, as fire extinguishers.
Fire extinguishers, I like that visual.
It's appropriate because endometriosis is, at its heart, an inflammatory fire. It's a state where the body is constantly shouting, emergency!
So what do the omega-3s do exactly? How do they put out the fire?
They work by inhibiting the synthesis of pro-inflammatory prostaglandins.
Okay, what are prostaglandins?
They're the chemical messengers that tell your body, hey, let's get inflamed, let's swell up, let's cause pain. Omega-3s just dampen that signal.
And the research mentions they also suppress endometrial cell proliferation. So they aren't just stopping the pain signal, they're actually discouraging the growth of the tissue itself.
Precisely. Proliferation means growth, so you are physically checking the spread of the disease. But here is where it gets fascinating for anyone interested in fertility.
Go on.
It's not just about shrinking the bad stuff. The source material highlights that omega-3s enhance progesterone production and improve uterine blood flow.
Which is crucial for implantation. You need that blood flow to build a lush lining for an embryo to stick to.
Exactly. You're creating a less hostile peritoneal environment. You're terraforming. And the stat here is really worth noting.
What's the number?
Studies show that supplementation can increase the conception probability by up to 1.5 times in endometriosis patients.
1.5 times. That is a significant bump. We aren't talking about a margin of error here.
No, it's a statistically significant increase just from adding a specific fatty acid. It's a low-risk, high-reward intervention.
Okay, staying in this anti-inflammatory lane, let's talk about the second powerhouse. This one surprised me a bit because I usually think of it as a spice. Curcumin.
Yes, from turmeric. But don't let the spice rack fool you. Curcumin is a polyphenol, and in the clinical world, it's a heavy hitter with some very sophisticated weaponry.
So what makes it so special for endometriosis? Is it just another anti-inflammatory?
It is anti-inflammatory, yes, but the key insight here is a property called anti-angiogenic activity.
Okay, that's a big word. Let's break that down.
So angio refers to blood vessels, and cryogenic refers to creation. Endometriosis lesions are living tissue. They need a blood supply to grow.
So they build their own blood vessels.
They do. They essentially hijack the body's resources to feed themselves. This is driven by a protein called VEGF.
So the lesions are basically running their own illegal plumbing lines to get nutrients.
That's a perfect analogy. They are tapping into the main line, and curcumin comes in and effectively shuts off the water. It inhibits that VEGF expression.
Wow. So it's starving the lesions.
It starves them. And the outcome is slower endometrial cell growth. But there's a bonus benefit here, too. It crucially helps lower estrogen levels.
And estrogen is the fuel for the fire, right?
It is. So if you can lower that fuel source while cutting off the blood supply, you're creating a much better hormonal stage for ovulation.
It's amazing that a compound from a root can be that sophisticated. It sounds like a design drug.
It really is. It's just nature restoring balance.
All right, moving on to our second section. The source material calls these the master molecules. We're shifting from inflammation to oxidative stress. Let's start with NAC, or N-acetylcysteine.
NAC, yeah. It's gaining a lot of popularity lately, and for good reason.
So what is it?
NAC is the precursor to glutathione. And if you talk to any cellular biologist, they will tell you glutathione is the body's master antioxidant. It's the big gun for detoxification.
And in endometriosis, you have this constant inflammatory storm creating rust, basically.
That's a great way to put it. Oxidative stress is like your cells are rusting from the inside out. NAC steps in to mitigate that rust. But the study mentioned in the text is what really caught my eye.
Yes, I have it highlighted. A clinical trial on ovarian cysts. They used 1,800 milligrams of NAC daily for 3 months.
And look at the results. In the group taking NAC, there were 8 pregnancies. In the placebo group, only 6. But honestly, that's not even the most impressive part.
What was?
The fact that the source notes some patients were able to conceive without surgery.
That is profound.
It is huge. Usually when you have significant endometriomas, those cysts on the ovaries surgery is the default path. But surgery on the ovaries carries risks. You can damage healthy tissue, lower your ovarian reserve.
So NAC actually shrank the lesions enough that surgery wasn't needed for some of these women.
Exactly. Avoiding the scalpel is a massive win for fertility preservation. And beyond that, NAC boosts egg quality, helps the liver detoxify excess hormones, and even promotes cervical mucus production.
Which is critical for getting the sperm to the egg if you're trying naturally.
Absolutely. It's a real multitasker.
So let's talk about its partner in this section, CoQ10. I usually hear about this for, like, energy, for athletes.
And the logic is the same. CoQ10 is the battery charger for your cells, specifically the mitochondria, which are the power plants of the cell.
And I'm guessing ovaries and eggs need a lot of power.
A tremendous amount. The egg is the largest cell in the human body. It requires so much energy to mature, ovulate, and then support the initial division of an embryo. It's a high-voltage event.
So if the ovaries inflamed because of endometriosis, that oxidative damage is like...
It's like rust on the battery terminals. The energy can't flow. If the battery is weak, the machinery, the chromosomal division can fail.
And that can lead to miscarriage or genetic errors.
Exactly. So CoQ10 comes in, cleans off the rust, and supports ATP synthesis, the raw energy currency of the cell. It improves both egg quality and quantity.
It's just interesting how these all tackle the problem from such different angles.
It's a systemic approach. You can't just fix one part of a broken system and expect the whole thing to work.
Let's move to section 3, the vitamin regimen. We've got vitamin D and then the pair of C and E. Let's start with D. What's the specific connection here?
The context is key. Low vitamin D correlates with infertility in endometriosis patients. This isn't a coincidence. Vitamin D isn't really a vitamin. It's a hormone precursor and a potent immune modulator.
Immune modulator. What does that mean in plain English?
It means it tells the immune system to calm down. In endometriosis, the immune system is hyperactive and confused.
Right.
Vitamin D shifts the body from a pro-inflammatory state driven by markers like TNF-alpha to an anti-inflammatory state driven by TGF-beta.
So it's flipping a switch on the control panel.
It is. It's shifting the body's defense condition from war to peace. And the source is very specific on dosage here. We're not talking about a tiny amount.
What's the range?
The optimal range found in the source is 2,000 to 5,000 IUs daily. You need a therapeutic dose to see that immune shift.
Good to know. Now, what about vitamin C and E? The source seems to group them together. Are they best friends?
They are the dynamic duo. They work as a team. Vitamin E protects the fat in your cell membranes from damage, but in doing so, it gets used up. It takes the bullet for the cell.
And vitamin C comes to the rescue.
Vitamin C steps in and regenerates the vitamin E. It reloads the gun so vitamin E can go back to work.
That's incredibly cool. I had no idea they interacted like that.
And the specific study cited here is compelling for pain. It found that 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C and 1,200 IU of vitamin E daily for 8 weeks significantly decreased dysmenorrhea painful periods.
Then again, less pain usually means less inflammation, which circles back to our fertility goal.
Right. They also improve endometrial thickness, which helps implantation, and they can reduce the risk of miscarriage.
So we have this incredible stack of nutrients, but I think an important question for you, the listener, is where does this protocol come from, and how do you actually implement it safely?
Which brings us to the source of the core text, the Berkeley Center for Reproductive Wellness.
This is where the story gets really human, isn't it?
It is, because this protocol isn't just data points. It comes from decades of clinical experience. It comes from Mike Berkeley.
And the notes mention he was a patient first.
Yes. And I think that matters so much. Mike Berkeley founded the center in 1998 because of his own battle with infertility. He and his wife struggled, went down the conventional route, and it just wasn't working for them.
That's a desperate place to be.
It is. And out of that desperation, he turned to acupuncture and herbal medicine. And for them, that was the key. It facilitated a successful pregnancy.
Wow. That must have been a massive turning point.
It changed his life. He pivoted his entire career. He became a licensed acupuncturist, a board-certified herbalist, and he was the first acupuncturist in the U.S. to specialize solely in reproductive medicine.
So he's been dedicated to this single issue for over 28 years.
Exactly. And what I appreciate about their approach is that it is integrative.
Integrative meaning they mix the old and the new.
Precisely. They use Eastern wisdom acupuncture, herbs, but they combine it with modern tech like low-level light therapy. And crucially, they work alongside conventional protocols like IVF and IUI.
So it's not an either-or situation.
No, and that's dangerous thinking. They aren't saying don't do IVF. They're saying let's support your body so that IVF actually works. They're improving the biological terrain.
That's a really healthy perspective. Now, for the listener who is thinking, okay, I'm sold, we have to talk about supplement quality because that industry is, well, it's the Wild West.
It is totally unregulated. You can buy fish oil at a gas station that's rancid and full of heavy metals. That might actually add to your inflammatory load.
So purity and potency are everything.
Everything. Which is why the Berkeley Center addresses this. They're an authorized full-script dealer.
Right. And FullScript is a platform for practitioner-grade supplements. You can't just buy these brands anywhere.
No. They're tested for purity, and they verify that what's on the label is actually in the pill. The Berkeley Center has curated a selection specifically for these needs.
And they offer a discount.
Yes, a 10% discount if you go through their link, which is really helpful.
It is, because high-quality supplements aren't cheap. We'll put that link in the show notes, but for those listening now, it's us.fullscript.com/welcome/Berkeley 1668106663.
It removes the guesswork. You know you're getting the exact chemical blocks used in the studies we discussed.
So let's try to land this plane. We covered a lot of ground. Can we summarize the stack for everyone just so it's crystal clear?
Absolutely. If you're taking notes, here is the recap of the toolkit. 1. Omega-3s, the fire extinguishers for inflammation.
2. Curcumin, to cut the plumbing lines to the lesions and lower estrogen.
3. NAC, for deep cellular detox and potentially avoiding surgery.
4. CoQ10, to charge the mitochondrial batteries in your eggs.
And 5. The vitamin trio D, C, and E, for shifting the immune system from war to peace.
That is a powerful toolkit. And what I love is that it feels so empowering. You know, a diagnosis like endometriosis can feel helpless. You're told surgery is the only option, or just live with it.
That's the most important takeaway here. Knowledge is only valuable when applied. We are talking about improving the soil, your body, before planting the seed. It's a proactive stance.
Right. You aren't just waiting for a doctor to fix you. You are actively changing your biochemistry.
It changes the narrative from I'm broken to I'm healing.
Absolutely. So before we go, I want to leave you with a thought. We talked about how these strategies can physically alter lesions, literally shrink tissue, and change the chemical environment of the uterus, all without a single incision.
It's a testament to the body's plasticity.
It really is. And if the right chemical blocks can achieve what we usually reserve for a scalpel, what does that suggest about the body's innate capacity for repair?
It suggests the body wants to heal. It just needs the right materials. A fascinating way to look at it.
If you want to dig deeper into this or reach out to the team that put this protocol together, you can contact the Berkeley Center directly. Their number is 212-685-0985.
Highly recommended for anyone navigating this journey.
That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.